Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Next Deal podcast. This is Vince. I've got with me Justin Dossy. Justin, how
What
are you
up?
doing today?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm doing awesome. Guys, welcome to the podcast. Real quick, we need you to we need you to subscribe. Can't tell you how much that does help us get the word out there for all these awesome real estate investors and tools and tech and things like that. It's not about Justin and I.
Mm-mm.
We can certainly talk enough, and you probably don't want to hear about us, but it's about our guests. So liking and subscribing helps to get their word out there. So speaking of guests, we've got Daniel Martinez here, straight out of Southern California in San Diego, with Hive Mind. He does all land deals. So if you are at all interested in land, you need to listen to this podcast straight through, minute to minute, all the way to the end. Daniel, welcome.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here. I know we had to reschedule last time and a little bit delayed here, but I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, man. Totally. Yeah, all good for sure. So tell us, a little bit about yourself, who you are. And I see you've done 150 deals, which is, awesome. But yeah, tell everybody who you are.
Yeah, so my name is Daniel Martinez. I've been in real estate for about coming on year 6 now. I've been doing solely land. I've only done one house deal, and the rest have been land. I'm a specialty niche guy. I have my own biases into land for other reasons. We can talk about that later. But I have my own podcast. I've been creating content, teaching people, educating people in the space. I love what I do, and I've just been doing land for a very long time, and it's really enjoyable for me.
Yeah. And what's your podcast?
My podcast is called The Hive with Us, HIVE. We have over 520 episodes out right now. We started about 3 years ago, and I enjoy doing it. At first, I know I needed to do it, but I came out to enjoy doing it. So I release 3 episodes a week every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
Okay.
Man, just
That's
cranking
awesome,
out
man.
content.
Yeah, we'll put the link to your podcast in our bio too, so people can go check that out. Are you on, Apple, Spotify,
Absolutely.
that kind
Everywhere.
of stuff? Yeah. Okay. Sweet.
Everywhere.
Nice.
Yeah.
One thing I want to go back. You did one house deal,
Yeah.
and then now you're off to land. What made that adjustment or that switch for you? Is there something that happened with the residence house that just wasn't for you, or I feel like there's a story there.
So the only house deal I've done is I wrapped my own house on a wrap because I moved from Georgia. So
Got it.
I had equity, but it wasn't really a lot where I was going to make very much money. So about 4 years ago, I was really new into real estate. 4 or 5 years. It's been about 5 years now, 4.5 years. I just seller wrapped finance it. So if I would have sold it on the MLS at that time, this is pre-COVID, I would have made like $5,000-$10,000. I actually sold it with $30,000 down, and I've been making $500 a month on it ever since. So that's kind of my only house that I've done. I did contract more houses when I first initially started, but they just fell through for different reasons. And if you want to dive into that, we can dive into that. But they fell through for different reasons. And then my partner now, he wasn't my partner then, but he's like, dude, try land, see what happens. The land deal has been super easy, and I've been doing it ever since.
Nice. So what do you like about land? I know it's becoming a little more popular, it seems, lately. More people are kind of getting interested in it, from moving from single families or small multis over to that. But for you particularly, what's the appeal with the land that keeps you coming back?
I like it because it doesn't cash flow. A lot of people, they like real estate because of cash flows. I like it because it doesn't cash flow. Most people that own they negative equity, the negative cash flow every year because they have to pay taxes. Yep. So most people that own it don't borrow against it. They own a ton of equity in it. I did another podcast and I told there's trillions of dollars of debt equity in land. So you can get seller financing a lot easier. You can create value a lot easier. A lot of people, they do multifamily and they try and value add through increasing the NOI. I value add by adding paper to land, and that's it. So it could be through subdivision, it can be entitlement, or it could be through seller financing.
Got it. Okay. So you're taking that was going to be my next question, is what are you typically doing with the land? So you're doing entitlement, subdivision type stuff. Are you ever like taking that land and wholesaling it to somebody else or flipping it, or are you more on the like entitlement subdivision side of things?
My model's kind of been wholesaling. So all my deals I sell to the retail market. So when you wholesale, you take a haircut to send to your end buyer, make sure there's a profit spread. We just take it straight to the market. So either we get private financing to close on it and list it, and then we essentially wholesale it as kind of our base model. But we try and take everything to market that we contract.
Okay. So even on seller finance deals, you're doing that too, where you've got the terms and, then you sell it at whatever rate you're selling it for.
Absolutely.
Got it. Very
Where are
interesting.
you typically targeting land deals?
Right now, I only do Texas
urban?
only.
Yeah.
I only do Texas only. And the reason why, Texas is a growing population state, and there's a lot of land there. So I can focus on solely doing Texas only, and I can kill it.
Yeah.
Lots of land in Texas. I don't know if you've ever driven through Texas, but that state takes forever to get through.
Never driven through Texas, but always had an airplane, thankfully.
Okay.
Yeah.
I did it one time, and I think I was at like 14 hours and was still in Texas.
Jeez.
Yep.
Yeah. I used to be a truck driver, and I've driven. It took me. It was like I drove from literally. I was right outside Texarkana, and I drove all the way to El Paso. It was ridiculous.
Long drive. Yeah, that's a whole day drive.
Dude, I took my son one time to like it was just like at the community center. It was like where big trucks are on display and the kids can like get in them, and there's like tractors and ambulances and fire trucks, and there was a semi truck there, like the front, the front end, not the back. And yeah. I've always wondered what it looked like in the cab, in the back where you could sleep and stuff. This dude's was like absolutely tricked out, man. Had this bed in there, mini fridge. He had like Xbox, all the things in there, a bathroom, like a little, little mini sit down, toilet and stuff in there. It's crazy. On the back of that semi.
It's like a little camper.
Yeah. Those get up to like $250,000 because it's essentially an RV.
Jeez.
That pulls freight.
That's crazy. Well, cool, man. On the land side of things, I'm curious, like if somebody's getting new, just getting into land, right? What are some things you would, or someone who's interested in getting into land, what would you recommend for someone to get started on? Where to target, how to market, things like that. Like, what are some recommendations you could give to somebody who's interested in land?
I do a lot bigger stuff these days. I'm closing on a $600,000 60-acre land parcel next week. Maybe this week. It's delayed. I'm waiting on the title to clear it. But nice. A lot of it is the smaller stuff. It's you have to sell to builders. There's a lot of people in Florida. They do like 10, 15 deals a month, and all they do is they look at comps. Hey, if I can get a 5,000 square foot lot and sell it for $30,000, I'm gonna send out blind offers for 10 to 15, and I'm gonna make. And if somebody wants 20, you still do it, and you essentially reverse wholesale to a $10,000 assignment fee. So there's guys that do that all day long all over Florida. It's very predictable in Florida. I would say if you're doing small lots, sell to builders, do small stuff. A lot of land investors as a whole, they usually do that $100,000 price point or less. I'm like $500,000 and up. I like bigger properties with bigger spreads because we can make bigger profit. It's been an interesting journey to get there, but I've kind of moved up to, I try and make at least $50,000 per deal that I do.
Okay. Nice. And how are you finding these deals? Like, so maybe not the big ones that you're doing currently, except I'm assuming it probably takes a little bit of time to get there and to get comfortable doing that. But that's someone that running a marketing company, we've always had that question, right? Like, what list do I pull, or how do I market specifically to land? So I'd be curious kind of see what your experience has been with that.
So when I initially started this, I was doing PPC. I did PPC for a very long time. It works really great. You get a lot of lay down sellers that come in and you don't really have to negotiate. When texting was in its boom, we did a lot of texting. Now that it's not in its boom, we pivoted to MLS. MLS and wholesalers is where we get majority of our deals now. A lot of stuff we're picking off the MLS, but I know direct mail still works really well. I would find a way to differentiate yourself in the marketplace. There's a lot of people that do direct mail in the land space as a whole, just because of our demographic. Mm-hmm. But you have to find a way to differentiate yourself in some way, shape, or form. So I think if you go after higher valuation properties, it's kind of a blue ocean strategy right now. A lot of people are scared of that multi 6-figure properties, including 7 figures. So I
Yeah,
think you go after bigger stuff. It's like you're fishing in the ocean essentially.
a lot less competition in that as well.
Absolutely.
Okay, interesting. Very cool. Um, cool. So walk us through kind of when the deals you're working now, right? Through an entitlement process or wholetailing it, or having someone build a subdivision. What does your process kind of look like to go through that?
I can do a couple different examples. So right now we actually bought a $2 million 250 acre parcel back in January this year. We're turning that into 180 dwelling units. Whether it's unrestricted land, so we might throw everything up on it. This is our biggest entitlement deal we've ever done. We've done smaller ones, but this will be the biggest. That's going to be approved in October, so that should be our biggest project to date that we're working on currently, but it's still in process. On we have another. I try not to entitle too much. Entitle is like the way of increasing value through paperwork.
Mm-hmm.
I try not to entitle too much because it takes too long. So we've done a couple of these in different sizing. I've done. We're working on a 5.5 acre. We're turning into 11 lots. We purchased for 225 on market, and we're turning it into 11 lots. We already have an offer for 60,000 a lot, but we're putting housing on it. So we're trying to turn that into $1 million deal, just as a good case study. And that's 5.5 acres. I bought another 10 acre lot that we're turning into 11 lots. We're in the process of throwing mobile homes on that. And we have 3 going on in the next 30 days out of the 7 lots. And then we're going to roll the cash into the other mobile homes. But we try not to entitle because it takes too long. Our basic bread and butter, what we like to do is just subdivide. So in Texas, there is a law that you can subdivide 10 acres or more without having to get county approval. So that's the secret sauce. The secret sauce is that I can buy 100 acres, I can turn it into 10 10-acre lots and find 10 individual buyers and sell that deal and make money. And it's the Costco model. When you buy in bulk, you get a price per acre discount.
Yeah.
And when you sell in smaller parcels, you actually make it affordable.
Got it.
So
That's smart.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know anything about land. So why do you decide what gets subdivided and not the person who's buying it?
Because I control the deal. So I make
Okay.
unobtainable land obtainable. So
Yeah.
I do that through a couple different ways. So 100 acres might be our first 7-figure deal we did was about 2.5 years ago. It was 10,000 an acre, 107 acres. It was $1,070,000. $1,070,000 is a lot for anybody that buys. So who's your buyer when you sell land? It's usually cash buyers because most people take care of the roof over their head. Number one, people that buy land is usually excess as an investment, or they're land bankers, which we might cover that later. But they buy and hold, or they're building out their dream home, or whatever that is, right? So they're usually cash heavy to buy this. Now, that parcel we picked up for 10,000 an acre with 2-year seller financing. It was like $2,500 a month. We put $200,000 down. We ended up selling all the lots off of that in 9 months, pay off the seller, and we made $200K in cash, $200K in notes.
Wow.
Super cool. Oh, I like that you said that. Make the unattainable attainable.
Yeah, that's cool.
Unattainable. That's the whole strategy. So the thing about land is that there's no financing in place. So we sell a lot of our land through seller financing. So we do a lot of notes. We probably did $3 to $4 million in notes last year.
Very cool.
We always talk about neon lights behind us. That's got to be your neon light, Daniel. Is make the unattainable attainable.
It's out there, and if you understand that, like we're a lot of people that do what I do, we're the variable that makes affordable housing in certain areas, because a lot of people, they can't buy 7-figure properties, so we come up and cut it up, and that now it's $200,000 a lot, like it's and then we sell it with $20,000 down. Now you're talking. Now you can move that property pretty easily. So it's one of the things that you got to find your value to the marketplace.
What types of like headaches do you see in land?
Oh, everything. I mean, all the above. It's just like there's headaches in everything. Anything
Yeah.
that's worth doing, there's headaches in it.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
Yeah.
So
Oh yeah.
so I mean, we deal with title problems. We deal with flood zone. We deal with a lot of different types of stuff that might not be with every house person. Like a lot of people are like, oh, do you deal with perk tests? No, I don't do small land. If I do small land, I have to perk test a lot to make sure I can put a septic system. If I'm doing 100 acres or 10 acre lots, I really don't care. I never do perk test in most cases.
Yeah.
I'm doing it now when I'm doing smaller stuff now, but I really don't care when I'm buying big, because if I sell it in 5-10 acre lots, they can kind of pick wherever it perks and place the house there. So you have nuanced stuff that you deal with. Florida has a lot of flood land, but they also have endangered species, endangered turtles,
I was
endangered
going to ask about
birds.
that. Yeah.
You got to deal with stuff like that in Florida. Whereas in Texas, you might have, something we deal with in Texas. You might have oil wells. We deal with
Yeah, I was
oil
going to
wells,
say fracking or oil. Yeah. Minerals. Yeah.
minerals. We deal with a lot of that stuff in Texas, where you might not have to deal with that in Florida. So it depends on where you're marketing, and this is where you have to understand your market is what issues you're going to deal with, and how are you going to overcome those issues depending on whatever it is.
Makes a lot of sense. Yeah. No, I mean, like you said it 100% accurate, right? There's always going to be issues that you're going to come up with. There's going to be, no matter what kind of deal you're doing, self-storage, single family, land, whatever it is, there's something. You just got to understand what those unique niches are and what you're going to overcome and how that's going to work. So you said earlier too, that most of your deals you are funding through private money, right? Getting those deposits. How has, this is something I know I've had people ask before, but what is your typical, if you're just starting out to try and build those relationships with people for funding bigger type deals and stuff like that, how have you guys gone about that process?
It has been extremely difficult. There is billions, if not trillions, of dollars for houses and storage and multifamily. All the money in the world. You can talk to anybody, and everybody understands single family. When I have to, when I raise money through land, I have to like educate them from A to Z how we do it, because a lot of people just don't understand. It doesn't make sense to them. Why would you buy land that doesn't cash flow? That doesn't make sense. You can't lease it. You can't put a tenant in it. Like, that doesn't make sense to most people's brains. So we have to educate them, and then we have to put them in small transactions early on to build that credibility and relationship, and then we can kind of roll them into bigger stuff. But it happens very slowly, and we've been focusing really heavily on raising capital recently, just because where we're heading, we need a lot more. We're looking into funds and syndications and doing stuff like that, just to kind of fill the gaps as needed. But it's been extremely difficult to raise money for land.
That makes a lot of sense. People don't understand it as well. That's interesting. Yeah, I actually would not have thought about that until just now asking about it. So that's very interesting. Cool. I'm trying to think of how to phrase this. What's I guess what's like your guys' long-term goal with land? I know you said where you're heading, right? Like, is that something you guys are able to share? Just kind of where you're heading, what your goals are?
Absolutely. I think we're projecting to do $10 million of transactions this year. We probably did 5 last year. We're trying to do 10. I was telling my students, like, the goal is 100 million. I don't think we'll hit it next year, but I think 2025 or 2026, let's say 2 years from now, we're trying to do 100 million. And it happens pretty easily with bigger transactions, just because my 180 lot deal is a $30 million deal, hypothetically, once it's entitled. And all we need is we have seller financing through the seller, and our capital partner's on for 18 months. So we're trying to push that deal out where we can sell $30 million worth of land without having to actually sell the deal. Or we're just kind of refi is the other option too. So if you have the ability to raise your own money, you can stabilize a deal and sell it to yourself, hypothetically. So
yeah, that's a good point. Interesting. That's very cool. Yeah, I mean, that makes sense too. With larger deals, you're doing 3 deals to get that, right? Like you said,
absolutely.
That 180.
Absolutely, yeah. Most of our deals we buy, like, my acquisitions team is like 2 people, and my dispo is like 30, because I create inventory whenever I sell. So I need a lot more salespeople than I do acquisitions. And I just hired a new acquisitions. He's killing it. He locked up like $4 million in deals last month.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that doesn't suck at all. How big did you say your team was?
I have right now it's about 35.
Okay. So got a lot of parts moving to make that happen. I mean, that's pretty similar to our team with Ballpoint and Colporter combined. A larger team on there. So, how this is actually a good way to kind of take this. How have you guys managed that as you've grown? Right, like you didn't start with 35 people, right? From starting where you were 5-6 years ago to where you're at now. How has that kind of transitioned for you as the leader in the company?
It's been interesting. This is the biggest organization I've ever run or helped run in general. You have to, especially when you're early, you have to hire people that have multiple hats to help carry some of the hats you're wearing. Because when you're first starting out, you have to wear all these different hats, which is okay. But as you get bigger, you have to like delegate and release. There's a delegation and a release factor. Yep. So we started our CRM company 3 years ago, and I don't operate anything in the CRM company anymore. Like I have virtual assistants and admins that kind of control all that. So I just focus on real estate now. So I've really honed in, trained, and optimized, and I tell my team, make a decision. I don't care if you're right or wrong. Just make the decision.
Yeah.
Nice.
Is the CRM Hive Mind, is that specifically for land, or is that just a CRM for general?
It's for. I mean, every business should have a CRM. I try not to push it now. It's not really my main focus now. It's still optional. People can still sign up for it. But it's built on a platform called GHL, and I was one of the
go high level.
Yeah, I was one of the early agencies that came on. Like I said, I've been around 3 years. Most agencies popping up have been under 6 months or a year. So I was one of the early agencies that popped up, and I wanted to build my place in the marketplace. But GHL, as for all the agencies out there, you have to compete with other agencies. So I try not to compete with really too much. I still have my own clients. I still use it myself personally, but it's not my main focus anymore. So I'm just focusing on actually doing real estate itself.
Yeah,
sure.
Because I always, with Colporter, I talk to a lot of people who do land. They send direct mail, they do SEO, PPC, all that stuff, and they always ask for CRM recommendations specifically for land. So yeah, that's basically what I was asking.
Yeah, we have a lot of land investors that currently use us because that's who we get tracked because we're land investors ourselves.
Yeah.
So we do help with that nuance, but I mean, it doesn't matter what you use or how you use it. Like I said, I'm not really trying to push GHL or Hive Mind or whatever the agency you are. It is what it is, but like I said, the biggest thing is find something that works for you and just use that. And I don't really care whatever it is.
Yeah, agreed. You need just something, right? It's better than a pen and a paper, even if it's like a Google sheet, right? Just start somewhere. Have something to track all your stuff.
Absolutely. It's very, very important. And like I said, I've kind of pivoted away from GHL just because of all the competition that came up, and it's not really my main focus. So I love the land game, and that's what I've been like. If I can do, I've done 7 figures in the GHL space agency, but I'm just like, let me just do land. I can do that in one deal.
Yep. Less work, I would imagine, too. Overall, would be my guess for that same amount of numbers.
Less headache.
Yeah, less headache. Yep, 100%. You mentioned a little earlier about your students, so I'm assuming you teach people how to invest in land. Is that accurate? Okay. Tell us a little bit about that and how people can get in touch with you.
So I have a website called $1,000,000landmastermind.com. I teach, I do weekly calls, education. I have courses out there. They're from $1 to a few $100. I've helped students make 6 figures on land deals. I have a student that's currently working a deal. He's actually doing a bigger deal, and he's making like 7 figures projected on it. So
nice.
There's a lot of opportunity in the land space. And if you're trying to make bigger money, you have to do bigger transactions. And usually bigger transactions are capped off based off of whatever asset type you're going after. So that's why people graduate into other asset classes, because they're trying to chase bigger fees. With bigger fees, you can pay people more. You can bring better people into the business. So I think going after big stuff has kind of changed my business on its head. because you actually work with bigger professionals, I suppose.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That's cool. Yeah, if you guys are interested in getting into any sort of land investing, make sure you reach out to Daniel's team and get a call set up. Do you guys do like a initial call, or people just go online and sign up?
People just go online and sign up. Like I said, I have a lot of people. If you find me anywhere online, I'm Daniel Hive Mind on YouTube. Daniel Hive Mind on Instagram and Facebook. You just we call it follow the right rabbit. So
yeah, there you go. Awesome. Well, cool, man. Yeah, Vinny, did you have anything else you wanted to run through at all?
Man, yeah, I'm just, land's just so foreign to me. I'm trying to like think of all the questions to ask. Like, I'm thinking of like, like down the street from me, there's probably like 6 acres and there's always a for sale sign on it. And I've seen that for sale sign change over companies probably like 8 times.
Mhm.
I'm like, how does that work out? What's going on over there? Why is it not selling? Yeah, I don't know. Like I see land and you got one house on it. Like I'm actually trying to work a deal. A guy responded to our postcards. He's trying to sell his house. But everything around him got sold to a developer and he doesn't want to sell to them. And I'm like, dude, you are a horseshoe. Just sell it to him. And he's like, no, I'm not selling to him because they're offering me way too low. And I'm like, I just don't know how all that stuff works, But those are all like things I'm trying to think, just thinking of in my head as you're talking, just kind of what's around me and, what's happening with those.
Yeah.
You should get him to sell it to you and then you sell it to the developer.
That's what I'm trying to do. Yeah.
So I'll even answer that question. So there's a lot of land everywhere you look. I mean, now that hopefully you hear this conversation, you're going to pay attention to it more. But it's literally everywhere you go. So you can think everything's for sale. Literally everything is for sale in real estate. And once you understand that, it's the billboard to the multifamily, to the office, to the single family, to the restaurant. So everything is for sale. Even, and I don't know if you know this, but even the land that restaurants sit under is for sale, because the restaurants don't want to hold that asset, so they sell the lease. So everything's for sale. I talked to a old land investor when I was in Georgia, and he owned a grocery store. He did not operate the grocery store. He owned the land the grocery store sat on. The grocery store sent him a check for $50,000 a month just for owning the land the grocery store sat on.
I did not know that. That's very interesting. It's almost like
renting the land.
Yeah.
Yes. And the reason why is because maybe that parcel is probably worth anywhere from $10 million. To have that on their books as a location, they can't really leverage it. So what they'll do is I'll just pay rent. So now they can build 10 locations versus having one location on one parcel. Yeah. So commercial entities, they usually lease the land from you, and you can sell that lease. Usually it's a 10 to 20 year triple net lease, double net lease, and you can sell that because it's predictive cash flow. You can sell it on a cap rate, just a commercial property.
Interesting. Is there a good resource that you have found for if somebody wants to like research a land parcel, right, and find out who owns it, or like for me, I know I can go to Deal Machine at any time because we're good partners with them and work with them. But like single families, I know I can go and look at it, find all the details on the property, who owns it, back taxes, what the mortgage amount is, all that kind of stuff. Is there a similar type resource for land, or how are you doing that, running comps, or just finding out all the details about it? Because I'm thinking through my head, like there's a plot of land down the street from my house that like firework tents rent out every year, right? So as an example, if someone wanted to reach out to the person who owns that land, how do you figure that out?
It's the same process. So we use one of my favorite tools is Landglide. It's like $10 a month. I love Landglide.
Okay.
You just find the property owner and skip trace the owner and call them directly. That's the easiest way we do it. A lot of the stuff is in county records and deed records. If you want to get that granular, if you're trying to find like a specific property, if it's in a trust or anything like that. Yeah. It's just all the ways that we normally do it in real estate. It's not really anything different. I mean, you can pull a list, you can do drive for dollars and do all the same things that everybody else does. But a lot of what I do is there's a lot of landowners as a whole. So I want to find ones, especially right now, I want to find ones that raise their hand and are ready to sell. So what's that to me? It's stuff in the MLS. So usually we try and find a price variance in the acreage that we know we can cut up. So one of the things we do is we're looking for, this is one of my acquisitions guy does. All he does is go on Zillow or Redfin, looks for 20 to 100 acres that has frontage that you can just cut up in 10 acre tracts. And we'll do that deal in 90 days, 120 days, and that's it. Super easy, super simple. And you just gotta find the price discrepancy. So if I can buy 50 acres for, let's say, $10,000 an acre, and if I can sell 10 acre tracts for 15 an acre, you now have a 1.5x multiple.
Got it. Interesting. Okay, that makes sense.
It's easy, but it's hard.
Right.
Yeah.
What's the term? It's simple, but it's not easy, or something like that, or it's easy, but it's not simple. However you say it, but that makes perfect sense.
How did the conversations go when you skip trace and call, folks that own land? Is it pretty similar to single family, small multifamily, where a lot of people get pissed off, or does it seem not to be as emotional involved?
They're not as emotional. Most of our land sellers, they might have owned it for 50 to 100 years. It's been passed down generation to generation. They might have just inherited it. There's no sentimental value. Like, I love land because they have no options. They really don't. Like, if they have a house, they can rent it, they can Airbnb it, they can sell it, they can leave it vacant, they can burn it down. They have all these different things that they can take an insurance claim. Like, all these different options. With land, it just sits there. Like, it's just there. Like, yeah, I own this land. One of my first deals, actually, I was in Atlanta. A lady owned a property in Florida. She's like, I keep on getting citations for people dumping on my property. Can you help me? And I'm like, absolutely. So a lot of the stuff that we deal with is people that they have no attachment to it. They've just owned it, and it just sits there.
That makes a lot of sense. Very cool. Well, awesome. Yeah, I mean, Daniel, I really appreciate you hopping on and talking about this today. This is something that we haven't really had a ton of guests talk about, and super insightful and very, very informational for a lot of people, I think, that just don't know anything about land. So I really appreciate you hopping on and talking about it today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Cool. Absolutely. We'll post all the links and everything you mentioned in the show notes and everything. So if you guys are interested in learning more about land, make sure you check out Daniel. You can look him up at Daniel Hive Mind, or what was the website again for the mastermind?
$1,000,000landmastermind.com.
$1,000,000landmastermind.com. So we'll put that on there as well. And yeah, appreciate you guys, and hope you guys all have a good rest of your week.
Yeah. Thanks, Daniel.
Bye.
Hey, if you have any deals you'd like to submit to the Hive Mind and our team, go to hivebc.io. It's actually the Hive Buyers Club. Submit your deals and we can hopefully dispel your deal for you. Have a great day.